Rev up your engines!
Well, you know, one of the big problems with electric cars and electric batteries are, what do they do when they don't work anymore? They're hard to recycle. Well, Jaguar now says they're going to recycle their heavy-duty batteries. They're starting to recycle them as heavy-duty power banks for other uses. But personally, I find it hilarious because the first full year of production in the United States of those things was 2019, right? If those batteries are going bad already, they're showing you what crap. These are expensive cars with super expensive batteries. They wear out that fast. To me, it's completely humorous because I grew up working on English sports cars in the 60s, 70s, right? And the one thing they used to call Lucas, who made the electronics for English cars, the Prince of Darkness, because you'd be driving your motorcycle or English car at night. Everything go dark because the lights would stop working because the electric system started to go bad, right? Well, would you want a purely electric Jaguar? You know, I don't think so. And they want to look like they're green. Look, we're going to use these things over. If they don't last that long, you can go really green. Don't buy them in the first place. Now, for a long time, Toyota, with their Prius batteries, they were like giving them to the National Park Service, and they were sticking them like in the high towers for the guys that are looking out for forest fires to run computers and the LED lights, which of course don't use all that much power. So, yeah, they might last a while there, and they can recharge some of them with solar power because they're very low usage things. Even then, who knows how long the things will last. It's more a PR move than anything else. They've only been out in the United States since 2019, so the oldest one's 3 years old, right? I would not buy one of those things. They're overpriced, and obviously they're not holding up all that well in the first place. Well, we'll give them to people. They can use them for secondary stuff. We'll give them to the hobby guys, whatever, you know. Maybe, why don't you learn how to recycle the stupid things if you're that much into green stuff instead of just saying, well, we'll give them to people. They can play around with the batteries. Here's one from you viewers. I can't help but laugh. Charles says, I took my car to the Kia dealer, and they said my 2016 Kia Sorento, the BSD shuts off when it rains. They said, oh, that's normal with those. Well, it may be normal with a Kia, but it shows the crap that they're making. Now, the BSD, if you don't know what it means the blind spot detection, right? The warning system. Well, it turns out that these things are so poorly made. When it rains outside, when you really want to watch out for blind spots, the system doesn't work anymore. And they say, well, that's normal at the dealership to the guy. Normal crap, yeah. And then to top it off, look what else happens. He says, not only does the BSD go out, but I get a canceled notification on my dashboard, which then blocks my digital speed display, and I don't know how fast I'm going. Well, you wonder why I tell people not to buy these Kias. That's why. Their quality control is crap, and what does the dealer tell you? Well, it's normal that that system breaks when it rains. Then you can't see your speedometer because the thing is warning you that's not working. You don't know how fast you're going. Talk about crap and talk about crap follow-up and repair on their vehicles. Yeah, that's normal. Okay, next. Listen to Scotty, don't buy one of those crap mobiles and you won't get stuck with a problem like that in the first place. Katzen says, I got a question about 80s Alfa Romeo reliability. I see a lot of them going for 45K. I love the look of them. Can I get one? Well, if you want a bird bath to park in your front or backyard, go right ahead. I had a customer in Houston. She was dumb enough to buy one of those. It's now sitting rotting at the end of her driveway. What a pile of junk that car was. I think, truthfully, the 80s were probably the absolute worst Alfa Romeos ever made. Now, they're making them again. The company keeps being on the verge of bankruptcy, but, you know, Fiat, now Stellantis owns them, and they keep trying to bring them back because they're no Alfa Romeo. Yeah, and they run great when they run, but they don't run all that often, and when they break, they cost a fortune to repair. But I do have to say the 80s is probably the worst crap they ever made, because at least back in the day when they had carburetors, they were easy to work on, and they weren't that bad. But in the 80s, it was all fuel-injected, electronic ignition, and what the Italians don't know about electricity could fill the planet Earth. So do not buy an 80s Alfa Romeo unless you're a masochist and you hate yourself and you have a lot of money to throw at the stupid thing. Asian Jaden said, should I get a Mazda CX-5 2.5 or a Corolla Cross 1.5? It depends what you really want. The Mazda's a lot faster car, but the Corolla Cross is going to get better gas mileage. And will probably last a lot longer. The Corolla Cross is just a Toyota Corolla that is now, a crossover. Basically, it's a Toyota Matrix. But Toyota stopped making the Matrixes, and for some reason, I guess they were embarrassed that they made the Venza, then stopped, and made the Venzas again, and it makes it look bad. So they decided to call it the Corolla Cross instead of calling it the Toyota Matrix. Now, realize originally the Toyota Matrix itself was called the Toyota Corolla Matrix. So instead of calling this the Toyota Corolla Matrix 1.8, they're calling them the Toyota Corolla Cross. But it's just a modern version of a Matrix. Made videos with them for people here that had them, that brought them over, and they're all really happy with good acceleration, fantastic gas mileage. If that's what you want, get the Toyota. If you want something that's a lot faster, the Mazda's a lot faster, but if you want something that's going to last a lot longer, get the Toyota Corolla Cross, and they're pretty well set up for just about anything you want to do. Unless you're a lunatic who wants to drive as fast as possible, and you'd be happier with the Mazda. It won't last as long, for sure, and you'll get a lot worse gas mileage. How did that know said, I asked a dealer to change my transmission fluid. I said, shut up and take my money, but they refused to take my money. I asked a dealer to change my 2020 Corolla with CVT with 60,000 miles, but he refused and said, no, you do it at 100,000. They're sheep. They do whatever they're told. And they think that whatever advice they're getting is right. It's wrong. I would change at 60. Fluid gets dirty. Learn how to do it yourself. You just drain a little bit, and then you pump a little bit back in. You can buy the fluid at the dealer. At least they sell you the fluid. Like with a BMW, you can't even buy the fluid at a BMW dealer for a bunch of their transmissions, because BMW buys it in these 42-gallon barrels, and they can use it in their own shops. But they can't sell you gallons of it or even quarts of it, because they buy it in 42-gallon containers, and they do not have the right to sell a quart or a gallon to you by federal law in the United States, because they would have to have a bonded machine to measure it out, and they don't have it, so they just say, we can't sell it to you. But Toyota will sell it to you by the quart, so do it yourself. These people are cheap. They're told something, they just repeat it. And of course, if something goes wrong 100-something thousand miles, your warranty's long gone. They do make them good, and they're well made, but on the other hand, everything gets dirty eventually, and when it's out of warranty, they'd rather have your transmission break, so you either pay them a fortune to fix it or go out and buy a new car. So learn how to do it yourself, or find a mechanic like me that'll do it. Janaski says, I got a question about universal coolant. My Toyota Sienna takes pink HOT antifreeze. In case of emergency, if it's leaking or hose is broken, would universal antifreeze be okay for temporary use, or is it bad for my Sienna? No, it's perfectly fine. HOT stands for Hybrid Organic Acid Technology. It's best antifreeze. Lasts the longest, basically. But most of the extended ones now are OAT. You just want to make sure what you put in is an OAT, Organic Acid Technology. And any of those that say universal coolant for foreign cars, whatever, it'll work perfectly fine. It mixes with it fine. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just that the HOT lasts slightly longer than the OAT. They're both organic acid, but HOT is a hybrid, which actually lasts longer. If you're going to change it, buy it. Do it that way. But as an emergency, you just use regular OAT. It won't hurt anything at all. It's just so slightly lower the lifespan, and considering that some of the HOTs can last like 8-10 years, 175,000 miles, you got a lot of life out of them anyway. But if you do mix any water, make sure you use distilled water. Don't use the local water supply. Usually too much mineral in the water, and that can clog up the engine and the radiator too. Well, Americans like noise, so with that new Ford Maverick pickup truck, they're relatively quiet. Well, a company called Magnaflow now has a performance system you can put on it. You want to put it on, you can install one that makes more noise, and also comes with chips, so you can reprogram the computer so it accepts it and runs correctly. The program's called Raise Chip. They don't actually use chips anymore, but they call them Raise Chips. It's a program that you put in to make it run correctly. Like I've been telling people for ages, you can't just take a muffler off a modern car, make it loud, because then it won't run right. The air-fuel ratio will be different, so it comes with that too. So if you're thinking about getting one, you think they're kind of wimpy, they don't make enough noise, you can put one of these Magnaflow systems on. And it's stainless steel, and it comes with a limited lifetime warranty, so it should last quite some time. Now, the whole kit is like $749. You buy a new vehicle, you're going to put something like that on, go ahead, just make sure you get it and have it reprogrammed with the stuff that it comes with. Don't just bolt it on and drive it, or it won't run right. Greg says, I got 2004 Honda Civic Hybrid. I have a bad purge valve. I have the code P0497, but I can't find where the thing is hidden. It's a 2004 Honda Civic Hybrid. Where is it? All right, well, yeah, you'd be looking forever. Unfortunately, on that design, you got to take the intake manifold plenum off. That plastic crap has to come off because it's under there inside. Just like a lot of the Honda Accords, the later model ones, you got to take the intake manifold plenum off in order to get to the starter, to replace the starter. Once you take it off, you'll see it there. It's a pain. You got to take all that crap apart, but you know, there's engineers for you. They hit it under there where you can't even see it. And the only reason I know about it because I fixed them before, and also because I have a data system called All Data. And when I work on them, I just location of blah blah, and then it shows me a picture and shows me where the thing is located. Really, even a guy like me has been working on it for 53 years. If we don't have these information systems, we're screwed on these modern cars because they hide everything everywhere. Now you know where it is. You can change it yourself. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.